Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Grid Sisters podcast. My name's Lauren.
My name's Tess.
And we're the Grid Sisters. Today, we're going over the absolute chaos that was the Dutch Grand Prix. We've got pigeons, we've got safety cars, we've got pit lane chaos, we have intrigue.
Quite a bit happened.
Absolutely. Betrayal, potentially, you know?
Betrayal.
I don't think there was I don't think there was any infidelity. So I think that's the only thing we're missing from like a drama at this point.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's jump right into it with podium points. If you're not familiar with podium points are where Tess and I give each driver or team, depending on how we feel about the incident that occurred, a point for something that happened. It has to happen between Thursday and Sunday. So it can't be Wednesday through Monday. No Monday, no whatever, because there are things that we would want to make an exception for, but we have to be firm.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Thursday through Sunday, things that happened in that time period, and they don't have to happen on track. They can happen off track. They can happen in interviews. They can happen on socials. This is just for funsies. Tess is going to kick us off. Tess, give us your 3 podium points, starting with number 3.
All right. My number 3 podium point is Red Bull getting the fastest pit stop of the season so far. The reason it's number 3 for me is because Checo then ran over Ferrari's wheel gun. But before that, it was the actual pit stop was the fastest pit stop of the season so far. So go Red Bull for that. That's a point for Red Bull.
Woo!
My number 2 is going to actually be Max. Both overtakes that happened during the race, the main ones that I enjoyed were on the very first turn, him going around Charles. And also, really quick side note, I really love Zandvoort as a track.
Really?
Yeah, I enjoy the banked turns. I think they're really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a really cool track. Like, it looks really difficult to drive, so that's why I like it.
It is a fun one to watch.
Also, Max's safety car overtake on Lewis. Oh, beautiful.
Beautiful racecraft from Max all weekend, I will say.
Yeah. And then my number 1 is George deciding that he was gonna take things into his own hands and saying, you know what?
Give me the soft tire. I want the soft tire.
I'm gonna pit for the soft tire. Give it to me. And Lewis was like, wait, I thought you had my back. I forgot we can make our own calls. Not really, but like, I think that Lewis was hoping for George to stay as a buffer between him and Max, and George was like, nah, I'd rather guarantee a podium, thanks.
Oh goodness. We will get more into that in just a second. Okay, my 3 are Mick Schumacher, who drives for Haas. He did really well for Haas, for being in a Haas, okay? That's the qualification here. Mick qualified in P8, so qualifying wise, he was in the points, and he finished P13 despite, I believe, 2 messed up pit stops by Haas. So not a points placement, but good placement from Haas, especially with messed up pit stops. I think he probably could have made it a points finish if they hadn't just butchered some of those pit stops. What is with Ferrari teams and their pit stops? Like,
dude.
We'll get into that. Now, my second one is, and I have 2 for the same driver, but
it's allowed.
So my second one is George being the first driver to go and sit by Daniel when he was feeling, we don't know that Daniel was feeling lonely, but Daniel was sitting all by himself, just like chilling, and George went and he sat by him and started talking to him, and shows up to the track wearing Daniel's Enchanté merch. Like, yeah, just adorable. Which, if you hear the story behind it, his girlfriend Carmen Munt actually was looking at the Enchanté drop, and George snatched a picture of it and sent it to Daniel and was like, what the heck is going on? And he's like, tell me what some of her favorite pieces are. I'll send her some stuff. And I guess this sweatshirt fit George. And so he's like, I'm just going to wear it.
I sent it for Carmen and it fit George. That's so cute.
It was probably meant to be like cute, oversized, but George was like, this fits me. Also, Carmen is so well dressed. So George never leaves the house looking, without looking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Carmen is very bright. She works in finance. She's very, very smart in her own right. She is so well dressed and so put together. And I love that she's like channeled that into George. Not that he wouldn't be that way on his own, but you just love to see someone with some good style. Him and Louis probably have plenty to talk about. They can rub off on each other.
Yeah, I think this also, I'm sure that other things contributed to this rumor, but this probably helped with the sparks of this rumor. That if Nick DeVries gets a seat somewhere, Daniel's going to be Mercedes reserve driver.
Did you see? Okay, so this didn't happen this weekend, but this, I believe, broke this morning. Nick DeVries is driving Aston Martin's free practice tests for Aston Martin.
Oh.
I believe next week. I could be wrong. Also, quick aside, and then we'll get to my number one. Nick DeVries is 27. Nick DeVries is older than I am.
What?
He was born in 1995. February 6th, 1995.
No way. Nick DeVries looks 19.
He does look 19. I guess I think it's his dad is like Asian or something. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this. But I think his dad might have like Asian heritage to him, so he just has that gene where they just look young forever.
That's so crazy. I literally thought we were like the same age.
My old boss is like in her late 40s and still looks like she's 27. And I tell her this and she doesn't believe me. And I'm like, you still look 27. So look, back to Podium Points.
Yeah.
My first place goes to, it also goes to George, but it's my fellow Slytherin making an ambitious ass Slytherin move and saying, you know what? I'd like the soft tire. Thank you very much. I actually don't feel like finishing behind Louis again. I'm going to think for myself and call my own shots. So box, put me on that soft tire and let's go.
Also, P2 is his highest finish, I believe.
P2 is his highest finish in Formula One yet.
Good, George. Go, George.
We're so excited.
I know.
I wore my George Russell hat all day. I have George Russell's Silverstone edition hat, and I wore it all day. I was like, this is so exciting.
That's cute.
Okay, so just to recap Podium Points, I have a point for Mick, no points for Haas, though, because Haas fumbled the bag, in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
Point for George and Daniel on that, because they're both involved in I just want Daniel to.
I just want Daniel to have something.
Yes. And then another point for George for his soft tire snakiness. And I loved it. Should I give a point to Mercedes on that? You know what? I'm giving a point to Mercedes for allowing it and not pulling BS team orders. Yeah.
Exactly. For letting him make decisions about his own race.
Yeah. I like it.
So George gets a point from me for that. Same with Mercedes. Red Bull gets a point. Sorry, but pit stop really has nothing to do with Checo, so he doesn't really get a point. And Max gets a point from me.
Okay. We have some negative points.
Oh, yeah.
We're bringing in a twist. If you F up horribly, consistently too, this has to be a consistent pattern of abuse.
Abuse to us
and your drivers. You can you can get points taken away from you.
Oh yeah.
So unfortunate news for those rooting for Ferrari and McLaren in the Podium Points race, but Ferrari and McLaren will both be taking a points deduction for the bullshit they pulled this weekend. And Ferrari for the past 5. Like, I don't know. This is a long time coming.
Here's the thing. Like, I'm rooting for Ferrari and McLaren,
yes,
but I'm sorry, like, you just can't. This behavior is
you cannot fumble the bag that way.
Unacceptable.
It absolutely unacceptable.
So Ferrari
gets 5 pit stops for Daniel Ricciardo.
Daniel Ricciardo gets 5 pit stops. I believe that he had a certain wing to use at Zandvoort. It was damaged. He had to use a different wing, and so therefore it didn't have the right something, and he qualified 18th, 17th. It was an absolute disaster. They pitted him 5 times during the race. Just because you have a safety car doesn't mean you need to pit.
In fact, strategy-wise, if you don't need to pit,
he could have gained places. It doesn't make any sense. I'm so frustrated.
It's a more difficult, not Monaco, but a more difficult track to pass on. The roads are narrower, high speed, blind corners, more difficult to pass on. You could have maintained a way better track position for Daniel Ricciardo if you hadn't pulled him in. He could have finished way closer to Daniel or to Lando if you hadn't effed him over.
Now, like, that's my thing that I feel about McLaren. I think that Ferrari gets a lot of hate for their disaster strategy calls.
Yeah.
But when it comes to
Ferrari
Daniel,
was fighting for the championship. McLaren was never fighting for this championship.
But when it comes to Daniel, it's been just as bad. Yes. And I think that that's my other issue. Like, obviously, like, they don't make like the best calls for Lando, but half the time I feel like they're not really making any calls when it comes to Lando. Lando's just out there being like, just like little doing his race all on his
Sitting
own.
There, it's Friday then.
Yeah, exactly.
Sunday, what?
But Daniel, on the other hand, is being just
raked over the coals
by the team. Like, it's crazy.
Absolutely unacceptable behavior by McLaren. I can't even begin to explain.
It's just crazy to me because how many of the issues that led to such bad results from Daniel are related to strategy or a setup or whatever.
That's the thing that frustrates me the most. We can go into like any Twitter comment section and there's people who are toxic as hell, same as TikTok, same as Instagram, same as whatever. People love to fight in the comments when they're hiding behind a keyboard.
Yeah.
But all of these people who are like, Daniel's trash, Daniel never finishes close to Lando, Daniel never blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you find me a race, you find me more than 5 races where Daniel didn't finish within 2 driver places of Lando, within like close time wise as well, that McLaren did not make a horrible strategy call of some kind.
But they didn't mess him up.
His potential.
Oh my gosh. And
we're talking about like marketability. Not even, he looks terrible, but the thing is, McLaren's been responsible for most of that, given up on him and said, yeah, no, sorry, you don't really understand our car. So
exactly, like, you. Sorry, it's just not working, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's not that Daniel isn't working, because even Lando said, he's like, because he got asked in an interview, I believe, like, oh, how is the team dynamic knowing that Daniel's leaving? And he's like, listen, like, Daniel still works so hard, like, he's in there, he's putting in the work, blah, blah. There's Daniel, and he has said, I am putting in the work. And it's evident
in everything that he does. And I think a team's going to see that and realize that. And I do think it would be stupid if Daniel's career is over, even if he's driving in Williams next year. Like,
there's just no way that Daniel's career is over. No, there's no way.
It can't be. Maybe we're in denial, but I don't think so. That's why McLaren is getting negative points. Yeah. Ferrari is getting negative points for a 12.7 second pit stop for Carlos Sainz. 12.7. They forgot that there's 4 tires on a car. They only brought 3 out. You have,
I don't know, the guy was on a bathroom break.
Well, no, listen. Like, the Ferrari pit lane or pit wall didn't give the mechanics enough time to bring all the tires out.
And then Mattia Binotto goes on the radio, was like, it's a mess. It was a mess.
Yeah, we know.
Bitch,
we know
it's a mess because of you.
It's your
fault.
This is, I don't understand. I'm like, oh, it was also hilarious. Really quick interjection, but in the post-race show, the girl that was hosting it with Nick DeVries which they often have reserve drivers from these teams.
Yeah.
F2 champions co-host shows. It's a great way to get publicity, get their name out there. It looks really good for other teams. It showcases their ability to, handle broadcasting and things like that, which impacts you as a driver. If you're not personable, it's hard to market you. So anyways, she's asking him these questions. She's like, do you just think it's a Matteo Binotto thing? Like, she is blunt. She is just to the point about it, which is normally like Will Buxton and some of the other commentators will kind of tiptoe the issue. They nag at it a bit, but like they tiptoe the issue. She was just like coming for blood. Is it the
blonde girl? She's really tall.
No, I love her. Why can't I remember? Is it Rachel? Is her name Rachel Nicholson? I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. I need to remember. She's tall and blonde, and she is great. This girl was shorter and had short dark hair, and maybe her name was Taylor. Anyways, she was coming for blood, and Nick DeVries has to sit here and be like, we don't know that. Like, we can't say for certain, because he's sitting here. He's like, I can't say this.
He's like, lady, I don't have a seat.
He's like, I will never have that opportunity if I say these words, if these words come out of my mouth. So he's like,
I don't have a seat.
We don't know that. We can't say that. We really can't make that judgment from where we sit. We don't have all the data.
Leave me alone.
I'm like, Nick, we have all the data. Don't worry. Well, we have enough.
Honey.
Anyways.
Honey.
It's also...
we have the data, honey. Nick, so baby.
Nick is trying to save his butt, and Matteo Binotto has just screwed Ferrari over so many times. Now, hear me out here. Zandvoort, I hope I'm saying that right. Zandvoort, the Dutch Grand Prix, has an extremely small, tight pit lane.
Oh,
All of these cars are so close together. We saw quite a few unsafe releases, particularly with Carlos. Like, what the heck? First, he has a run-in with Sergio running over the wheel gun, and they don't even have the wheel on the car. Second, Ferrari releases him. Carlos is trying not to hit McLaren because I think it was probably one of Daniel's Daniel's pit stops. But he's trying not to hit the McLaren mechanic in front of him. So he pulls out and almost hits an Alpine. But he's been like, this is the thing, is Carlos is the one that's getting penalized for Ferrari's mistakes, which, yes, of course, makes sense. I know how the sport works. But at the same time, it's frustrating for Carlos because he's like, what did you want me to do? Run into the mechanic and kill the mechanic? Like,
so my issue with this is where he got a 5-second penalty for the end of the race, correct? But in so many other situations, when it comes to unsafe releases or whatever in the pit lane, unsafe activity in the pit lane, the team gets fined normally, I feel like.
So I think they've been trying to crack down on it with unsafe releases so that they can just inhibit them. And I think they've decided that the 5-second penalty is more disastrous to the team than
a fine.
Especially
a team like Ferrari, who's like, we got all the money in the world.
They're like, yeah, we have plenty of money.
I'm like, that's so crazy, because if you have so much money, like, maybe you could get a better strategy team.
Maybe you could hire a better strategy team. You know what? Tess and I are available. I'll take some strategy classes.
Genuinely, Lauren, I have no idea how to read F1 data. I am not an engineer. I am not a mechanic. I know next to nothing about these cars, okay? But it is logic. It is common sense. I'm watching this race going, I mean, this strategy
know what it
makes
is,
sense.
Tess?
They go do the opposite.
It's war strategy. And you want to know why Hannah Schmitz is so good at her job? Because women think as war strategists.
I have said this in so many different capacities. Women need to be in positions of strategic power so much more often because their brains work in a different way. Also, we've already that there is no every possible outcome principle.
And determined the best one because our anxiety makes it so that we have to.
Like, there needs to be a woman team principal.
Oh, I can't wait. So,
change in F1.
Susie Wolf is the team was the team principal for the Mercedes Formula E team and did a phenomenal job.
I love that.
There are people that could be great team principals. We saw, I think it was Claire Williams as I don't believe she was team principal. I think she was an owner.
The owner?
I don't remember her exact position title. I need to go back and read all of it. And it's unfortunate because I don't think Claire really had all of the
I don't think she had the tools
necessary. Yes, tools and pieces necessary to keep up with how Formula One has changed so drastically in the past 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's super unfortunate.
Together on the weekends to go race a car they built in their rich friend's garage. Like, this is something very different.
Which is like hard because that's kind of like the foundation of Williams, you know?
Williams is a heritage team. Similarly to Ferrari.
Because Sir Williams,
yes,
he, I believe, started a team and raced in the car. And he had the money, so he started a team, loved Formula One, and he kept it going and whatever, and passed it on to Claire.
I had that kind of money, I would too.
It's so difficult because obviously, yes, Formula One has changed so much in the last 10 years. The hybrid era, a million different technological advances, blah, blah, blah. I just don't think that she had the tools, the sponsor ability,
the capital,
all of those things, whereas they were bought out. And now, how do we say his name? Jost?
I think it's Jost.
Is the team principal. And he has
Jost?
I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
He has this fire. I love him.
He is fiery.
He, I believe, was a rally driver.
He was, oh yeah, I think so.
And I just think Williams has stepped up this year in a way, but obviously we don't see that with Nicholas Latifi because we have zero expectations of him. But I think Alex is a great driver, and he is showing that like Williams has the ability
can be to be a midfield, to be competitive. Yes,
like a midfield car, not a back of the grid.
So many more points if they had a different driver besides Nicholas Latifi. So bringing this back really quickly to Ferrari, hire a new strategist. You've lost a point. Boom. All right, let's go into the rest of this weekend. Breaking news from Tessa's newsroom.
Breaking news: Helmut Marko. I can't. Helmut Marko is fighting for Colton. I don't know his last name.
Herta?
Yes, Herta from IndyCar, the American driver.
Woohoo!
He is fighting for him to be able to get an exception to get a super license so that next year he can race at AlphaTauri.
Marko loves those exceptions to super license points.
I know.
They made that rule. Or they made so many new rules about Max. Yes.
Because Max hopped in before he had a driver's license.
Literally.
Max said, you know what, I'll race a Formula One car. Don't even worry about it.
Did you imagine?
No, I actually
You had already had your driver's license suspended by the time you were 17.
Yeah. So really, I think I'm fitting to drive Formula One.
There you go.
But yeah, so they're fighting for him to get an exception. I'm not sure what he needs specifically, if he needs more points or anything.
Because IndyCar isn't technically a feeder series to Formula One.
So
you have to go through
you don't get as many points on your license and stuff?
Yeah. So you don't, this whole point system is extremely confusing. Super license points are very, very confusing. And we can go into this in more detail in a specific episode. If you guys want to hear about that, let us know.
But yeah, so they're fighting for him to be able to get in by next year. So they re-signed Pierre Gasly's contract, but they want to replace him.
Replace Pierre? Well, that's because there's still gossip of Pierre going to Alpine.
Yeah.
We're bridging into silly season here.
So this weekend,
first of all, Max Verstappen has like 3 home Grand Prix. He has the Belgian Grand Prix, the Dutch Grand Prix, and the Austrian Grand Prix. And the Orange Army follows him everywhere.
So for anyone who doesn't know,
finally ban those stupid orange flares.
Oh,
I'm not at the race, right? I have not been to the race.
Could you imagine paying the amount of money that you pay
and
you
all
can't
you see is
anything.
Orange dust? Well, smoke. I would be
I heard they
livid.
stink.
Yes.
Ugh.
Have you never smelled one of those before?
Mm-mm.
I smelled one like at a baby shower or so, not baby shower. What is the baby gender reveal party? Anyways, they smell terrible, horrible. Those things they smell disgusting. And they're so obnoxious. They're not safe for the drivers either, because as soon as that smoke hits the track, it's inhibiting the field of vision on a track that already has blind corners. You don't need to blind them anymore. Also, did you see the fans that threw them onto the track, causing red flags? That's so
I do believe that
unsafe.
they ended up getting removed from.
Yes. So they were removing the fans and kicking them out. For having lit the flares in general.
And that
Even though so many of them went off after the race.
Qualifying, because then the first time was during qualifying, because then they had like the thing being like you can't bring flares in the next day. But they did them all after the race, which like that's better. But
listen, that's my thing. Yeah. Like if you want to do it after the race, you want to celebrate, okay, fine.
But don't
do it during the race. Yeah, it's not safe.
Did you Lando put a picture on his Instagram, I believe, of him, like his car on the track with all orange smoke behind him, and I'm like, it's so cool looking, but it's so dangerous.
I know.
Like visibility wise.
Sometimes I feel like I'm like an old lady where I'm like, that's so dangerous.
That's so dangerous. You guys like, really shouldn't do that.
Or like, that's so obnoxious. Like somebody was singing happy birthday at where my apartment is. We have a plaza down below with like 4 restaurants. It was like 11:30 at night and somebody was screaming happy birthday. They were Dutch. They actually were Dutch. They were screaming happy birthday. Half the table was screaming it in English. Half of this table was screaming it in Dutch, like a song. But nobody was carrying a tune. Anyways, for like people 10
in the Caribbean
minutes,
watch Formula One?
Sometimes.
Like your island is obviously half French, half Dutch.
Yeah.
So like, would they have watched the Dutch Grand Prix?
Probably. I wasn't home during the Dutch Grand Prix.
But wouldn't that makes me think about it.
Really early in the morning, and people here don't like to get up early. Things don't really open very
It's early. Even earlier for me, all right.
It started at like 8 a.m.
Yeah. So that's like 5 for me.
Ugh. Anyways, people do watch it here, and I see a lot of where I live. There's more French people near where I live, but there are some Dutch people that, do live nearby, since I do live on the Dutch side. And I see Max Verstappen hats like
that's so cute.
Probably that's a couple times a month. I was walking by one of the really big apartment complexes here. It's like a higher rise thing. Half of it was destroyed by the hurricane a couple years ago, but the top half, all of like the penthouses and the apartments are still like rented and used because they didn't obviously incur very bad water damage. But I saw a guy coming out of there and he was speaking to his wife in Dutch, but he was wearing a Max Verstappen hat, and I was like,
that's so cute.
There's that old Darby. Like, yeah,
I don't know why, like the idea that like you would see someone who was like an actual like European fan, why it's so cute to me.
Okay, but last year I was in Amsterdam during the final race, which now I can't remember which race it was.
Abu Dhabi.
When Max Verstappen won, I was in Amsterdam. And there were COVID precautions, so everyone had to be home. You could not be outside.
Were there like windows open?
5 o'clock, literally there. So I was looking out my hotel room window, and the houses in Amsterdam where we were are fairly close together. So in like the non-creepiest way possible, I could see out of my hotel room window into the people across from me's window, and there were like 6 Dutch people. There's 6 people on this couch watching the F1 race. And I remember like I was watching it in my hotel room too while my friend was asleep. It was happening, and I like stood up and I like turned around, and they were all standing up screaming and cheering, and I was like, I feel like I'm a part of something here.
Yeah, I would love, oh my gosh.
And everyone talked.
I would love like, it reminds me of the energy of when soccer matches are won, or even like Bastille Day in France, like the big, like rushing the street, fireworks. Like, I would love to be a part of that. That would be so fun. My hope is that by next summer, I'll make it to Europe finally. And I would love to be there for a race.
Let me know. You do know that we might move to Europe next summer.
I know.
All right, hang on. Sorry.
We have gotten so off track.
We are so off track here.
Did much happen in practice?
Practice wasn't.
I don't
remember anything specifically eventful happening. Quali though. Quali. Q1. All right. You tell me what you think on this, okay?
Okay.
Because I'm not a conspiracy theorist when it comes to Formula One. Things happen, everything happens, you know. But there are certain things that make you go, Now, Charles Leclerc was on an absolutely flying lap behind Max Verstappen. So was Lewis, but I don't remember if his targets were as close as Max's. And Sergio Perez just a little bit of a spin. Sir, you can't park there.
So
and nullifies everyone's lap. That was that
in Q3, and it finalized pole position.
It finalized the pole. It finalized pole position.
He pulled a Monaco, and he said, "You know, if I crash,
Max
no one can change it. No one can change pole." It's exactly what Charles did in 2021. Crashed in qualifying, and then no one could take his pole away.
There you go.
And then he didn't get to race. But it's the same thing Checo did in Monaco. He crashed, and then he was on pole, I believe. No one could challenge it.
Yep. So, yeah. That happened.
So,
now like I said, I'm not a big conspiracy theorist. It's always fun to just point things out like that and then be like, But in reality, those things happen. Race weekend recap. Not too much going on, not too much eventful in F1 or in FP1, FP2, or FP3 really. Quali.
We didn't have any crazy penalties for the race.
No crazy penalties for the race, but the race itself was absolute chaos. The race itself looked like the most beautiful strategic game of chess that was ever happening that I have ever seen. And Yuki Tsunoda. Sir,
Yuki babes.
We need to address this. Now, I will say Yuki in that post-race show, this could be something that's just like lost in translation. I'm going to need Kyle to I'm going to need to find him talking about it in Japanese and then have Kyle translate it to me. But Yuki babe barely knew what was going on. He's so cute. You can't fault him for anything, but he's talking in this post-race show and he's like, we just didn't the data wasn't saying anything. The data didn't show an issue, but only one of my tires was spinning instead of multiple. And I was like,
I think it's hard because here's something that especially F1 Twitter forgets. English is most of these drivers second language.
Not their first language.
Especially someone like Yuki
if
English is their second language, but not
formally.
He learned English just to be able to race in Formula One. It's not like he speaks it really besides racing.
And English is very hard for Japanese people. Also, it's important
so
to remember
entirely different.
Japanese sentence structure is completely different to ours. They speak in circles around their point. In Japanese sentence structure, it's not very direct.
And also in a situation where he's overwhelmed, his race ended, he felt like he wasn't being heard because he's like, guys, there's something wrong with my car. And they're like,
back out you go, Yuki.
They're like, it's fine, my guy. And then he goes out and he's like, guys, literally my car isn't working, and has to stop and retires from the race. It's disappointing. And then afterwards gets blamed for Max winning. All these things, gets attacked on the internet. I can understand why Yuki would seem
flustered,
frazzled. Yeah, going into that post-race interview, they obviously haven't talked about everything yet.
Mm-hmm.
He's like,
they
I don't
haven't had
understand.
a post-race debrief. There has not been time for that yet. Absolutely.
And so I just feel bad for him because also people go and they're like, Yuki doesn't even know what's going on. He doesn't even know what's happening with his car. Blah, blah, blah. It's clearly a conspiracy because Yuki didn't even know why he retired. But it's
he probably does know more, and they probably know way more now. But
yeah. The thing is it's not just Yuki that asks questions. Like, how do you say that in English?
Yeah.
A lot of the Spanish-speaking drivers, like Checo asks questions like that all the time. Some of the other drivers that don't speak English as well also ask things like that. Like, how do you say that in English?
Especially and it's like, because it's also important to remember that there are phrases and things that do not directly translate. So
even something as simple as like compare like Charles Leclerc, who speaks French and is from Monaco, and Pierre Gasly, who speaks French and is from France, and Esteban Ocon, who speaks French and is from France. Pierre Gasly all three of them often
somehow have a different accent and speak differently.
And Pierre Gasly often is like, I don't know how to say that in English. But Pierre Gasly, like, it's just, I think it's interesting that people, number one, easily jump to attacking Yuki because he's a Red Bull affiliated driver.
Yeah, which is so sad. He doesn't deserve it.
Exactly. Like, I think that Yuki has been a really easy target to hate, and that sucks.
Yuki, we do not hate you.
The McDonald household loves Yuki. Love Yuki, but it's hard, yeah, because people are like, he's such an angry driver. He's rude on the radio. They've had to hire a psychological coach. I'm like, every driver has a psychological coach.
Yeah. It's so funny too, because Kyle, so my husband Kyle lived in Japan for 2 years. He speaks Japanese. He's very familiar with Japan and their culture and the different like, and Yuki, there are not a lot of, but there are people like Yuki in Japan that they're less consistent with traditional Japanese culture, which is extremely polite. They use a lot of honorifics when they speak.
We have to remember a lot of Yuki's English that he learned was from mechanics.
And upbringing. I mean,
was from mechanics in the driving arena, blah, blah, blah. Exactly. Where nobody is like, Max is so violent on the radio. Where like, Max has the dirtiest mouth in Formula One, I'm pretty sure.
Probably.
But Max just jokes about it and is like, oh no, like, this is just my language. And like, sure, whatever, Max. And like, obviously people have critiques about Max being angry and whatever, but I just think that that's an unfair thing to say, because then someone will look at George and be like, oh, well, George never cusses. George never cusses. So George is just like the most polite, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Exactly. But George, it's not like George isn't going to go and put on soft tires and try to beat his teammate.
I mean, I have opinions about this, but that's a different episode.
Okay. But like, I just think that using that critique to be like, oh, well, Yuki's really aggressive and like, he's not a team player and he's not good for Formula One and blah, blah. It's just unfair.
Yeah.
And I think that the conspiracy that Red Bull did this on purpose because they're sister teams is really unfair.
It's also really unfair to the Red Bull strategist, because I know Hannah Schmitz got a lot of hate for this, which is not her fault.
We are huge Hannah Schmitz fans.
Yes.
She follows us on Instagram. We made a whole post about her. She had an episode. We love her. And yeah, the hate that she got, because people are saying that disaster was obviously like a call from Red Bull.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, Hannah Schmitz, you really had to call down to AlphaTauri and tell them to go ahead and DNF a car, get a safety car. It's just so unfair.
Yeah.
And she does not deserve it.
It undermines her abilities as a race strategist.
And of course, she's a woman.
And of course, she just happens to be a woman, so she can't just be good at her job outright. She can't have just good strategy and a backup plan outright. It just,
like, we really had to bring Hannah into it. We couldn't just blame it on Christian.
Yeah, can we just blame it on Christian? Like, just blame it on him. If anyone's going to do it, it's not going to be Hannah. It's going to be Christian or Helmut Marko.
Yeah.
So, did you also hear AlphaTauri might be for sale?
What?
Yeah. So how much money do you think it takes to own or buy a Formula One team? Because listen, I have about $20 to my name. Not really, but
are we
20 spendable dollars to my name.
Are we thinking millions or are we thinking billions to own the team?
You know what? Let's Google this. How much?
Because how much does it cost to own a Formula One team? Because there is a driver that I believe eventually will own a Formula One team, and that is Lewis Hamilton.
So you must spend only within the given budget window 145 million ish.
I almost said not bad. I was expecting a lot more.
Toto Wolff, who, if you're not familiar with Toto Wolff's background, he was an investment analyst and has made the majority of his net income from investments, or net worth from investments. Toto Wolff reckons a new Formula One entry would need around $1 billion to run at the front immediately, as existing team suggests.
Which Audi, correct?
Audi, yeah,
has officially bought a spot in 2026 when new regulations come into play.
Yeah.
Wow. So I wonder how much AlphaTauri is worth, because they're not running at the front. But if they're purchased,
here's the thing, though, right? Here's the thing, because I don't think it costs you that much money every year.
No, it's the initial purchase.
This is where your sponsorships come in.
Yeah.
This is where we have those stickers all over the car.
So
I have questions.
Red Bull
I'm gonna make
is putting AlphaTauri up for sale.
I don't know.
But there's talks.
It's a rumor.
Interesting. Ooh, we love rumors. That would change a lot. New ownership of AlphaTauri would change everything. Sorry, like that's...
Yeah, we are so off topic here.
But I know. Depending who owns it, contenders for front. Like, because Porsche bought into Red Bull, correct?
But that deal is on the rocks still. So that deal hasn't been finalized yet, and Red Bull is still in talks with Honda as a backup for their... Not like
I just can't imagine them like
their own engines now.
I don't know why would they change stuff if everything's working so well?
Maybe things aren't working so well. AlphaTauri has not been at the top of the midfield.
No, I mean like Red Bull. Like, I don't think Red Bull needs to just suddenly add in Porsche besides money-wise, but it's not like Red Bull runs out of money. It's Red Bull.
I think it might be a prestige thing, and also...
Maybe, because then they'd have, like, the backing of, like, a German car company.
Red Bull drivers drive so I'm talking about like the car the drivers get to drive, because they have to drive a team approved car. You can't like...
So they drive Hondas.
They drive Hondas. Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz are showing up in Ferraris. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell are showing up in epic
G-Wagon, blah, 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 whatever. The McLaren boys are showing up in McLarens.
And even Alfa Romeo, they drive Ferraris, I believe. We've got...
Is there a Scuderia?
I don't know what Haas and them show up in, I'm going to be honest. Sebastian Vettel just rides his bike, so... But I'm sure Lance Stroll shows up in an Aston Martin. So.
And Alpine drives Renaults, obviously.
Yeah. Well, Alpine drivers probably drive Alpines, which is the premier brand of Renault.
Yeah. But
also, it's so funny. My parents have been in town this weekend, and there's a lot of Renaults on the island where I live. And every time Dad sees one, he goes, look, a Renault. I'm like, you're so cute that you know what that is, Dad.
That's so funny. Did Dad bring his Formula One hats?
I don't think
to the island.
I don't think so. I think he only brought his beach hat.
Oh, probably didn't want to get them sweaty or crushed in a suitcase.
Probably. All right. More chaos for the race. This weekend the pigeons were a little out of control. These pigeons
Turn 7.
No fear.
So I heard
a Formula One car coming in around 200 miles an hour, and it's just like, it's cool.
Listen, I heard that it's because they laid like grass seeds down. Yeah. So they were having a little feast. But
nom.
I believe a couple pigeons were punted by like F2 cars. Like, I don't know.
I don't want to see that, but at the same time, something about it seems slightly comical. My opinion of pigeons is probably different than other people's, though, because I lived in New York City where pigeons are literally like flying rats. They're disgusting.
Pigeons? You've never seen a baby pigeon because pigeons are owned by the bourgeoisie. They are spies.
That's what's actually happening. Red Bull's trying.
Anybody knows that reference? Thank you.
Ferrari is trying to get the view of everyone else's floor underneath from the pigeon's point of view.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. We've gone over so much of this already. Pit lane chaos. Carlos got screwed over big time. Mayhem with the safety car. George Russell calling his own shots, being an absolute Slytherin, calling his own race. I'm just so proud of you, George. I'm proud of you. I don't know if you needed to hear that, but I'm proud of you. You did great.
You gotta have guts to be like, you know what? I'm gonna undercut Lewis.
Yeah.
Let me undercut Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah. Let me just. He also had great racecraft when he was coming through. Nearly hit Lewis, but that was an epic one to watch.
Oh yeah, that was a close one.
Yeah,
and I think when he was asked, he goes, "We like to keep it close, you know."
And Lewis Hamilton, I love Lewis's passion. I love that Lewis gets angry over the radio too, because it shows he still has passion for the sport. He's still like, damn it, like, oh, I wanted that win.
Yeah, and like he's like, seriously, guys, that safety car really messed everything up for us.
It really is on the team for not telling him that everyone else was on soft tires. I think that would have made a huge difference in Lewis's point of view and the calls and decisions he would have made. But
here's the thing. Mercedes is claiming that, oh, if we had done this different, if this had been different, if this safety car didn't have to happen, if this had been different, Lewis would have won the race by a long shot, blah, 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 all this stuff. Like, love that idea for you guys. Red Bull is so fast. Well, their car is so much faster.
Let's change that narrative because Max is so fast.
Yes.
Sergio was in
obviously
5, I believe.
But I just think that it's hard because that combination of Max and Red Bull, like, currently is unbeatable.
Yeah.
And now,
that's not to say strategy wise that he couldn't.
Yeah.
And so that's where the game of chess comes in, is that it would have been a really great game of chess if the safety car hadn't kind of thrown everything off. But safety car is the name of the game in Formula One. You have to.
And I don't think that it would have been. I think it would have still been really close. I don't think it would have been like as cut and dry. Lewis won as we would have gotten another like
spicy little fight between the two of them. I would have been like, ooh, 2021 flashbacks.
I know. No, because that's what the safety car restart felt like a little bit. I'm like,
I like held my breath. I was like,
I think that Mercedes' fight is not with Red Bull. Mercedes' fight is with Ferrari. And they need to, like, obviously they don't think it's with Red Bull. Lewis wants to win a single race this year because if he doesn't,
it will be his first time in his entire Formula One career that he hasn't won a race
in a season. That's just a streak you don't want to break.
No, nobody wants to break.
And I think that it would take a max DNF, a max crazy penalty, something.
Which could still occur.
Obviously. But yeah, I think that Mercedes' fight is definitely with Ferrari because Ferrari's pace and strategy is just
unbelievably terrible.
They're going to be in fight for second, even though Mercedes had a terrible start to the season. And I think that says a lot about Ferrari's mistakes.
It hurts me.
It almost brings me to tears.
I don't cry like that. I don't think about it, but yeah, it's like painful to watch.
It genuinely, like,
I feel so bad for Carlos because I think he's legitimately pissed inside. about
how
this whole thing panned out.
Have you seen the video of him it was either post race or post quali from this week or last week? He's fully like glitching. He's sitting there like this before he answers a question. Like, I think he's really just like,
he's like, bottled it all up inside of
him. Like, I think he's sitting there
give me a punching bag. I'm gonna lose it.
They said join Ferrari. They said it'd be fun. They said I'd win. They said join Ferrari. It's an amazing team. It's everyone's dream.
Yeah, maybe back in Mick Schumacher's era.
I'm sorry, but for how much money Ferrari has, for them being this super old
and getting extra payments for being a heritage team from F1.
Yes, and like the strategy calls, it doesn't make any sense for them to be this big of a mess.
Mm-hmm.
A mess. They're a disaster. In Mattia Binotto's words, they're a mess. Buddy, yes. That's your job. Ugh.
I don't know if you forgot what your job description was, but that's your fault.
Like, that's literally your job.
I feel like they need like a Simon Sinek, like motivational speech. Like,
bro, I thought you were about to say they need a Simon Cowell. I'm like, you're not
honestly,
wrong.
Though, they might need someone like Simon Cowell to be like, that was awful.
Like, I'm sorry. Mattia Binotto and his little Harry Potter glasses.
Which are adorable.
Before this season, I was on the Mattia Binotto train. Like, I was like, you know what, go King, go ahead, like whatever. Love your vibes. You're giving Ferrari energy.
And now we have Gaslight Girl Boss Gatekeep.
He is the number one gaslighter in Formula One, genuinely.
And you know
besides McLaren. McLaren's like,
you're so good at identifying gaslighting.
Yes, and McLaren is literally like, guys, Daniel just did not live up to our expectations. I'm sorry.
I'm like, excuse me, but I don't think you lived up to Daniel's expectations.
I'm sorry. I think you participated. Takes two to tango. I'm sorry, but the team is supposed to be there for the driver.
Yeah, they're supposed to help the driver, not hinder the driver. I know it's been a minute since you've had an adult driver, right? You know, because Lando was a literal child.
And they added another baby.
Yeah. Maybe they just want baby drivers. That's a movie.
Baby driver. Yeah, I don't know.
I am excited for Oscar Piastri. I hope he does well. I hope Lando
there
can
is
get on.
There is
I hope
news.
Nick DeVries gets a seat for next year.
Bro, Nick DeVries deserves a seat next year. Come on. If Oscar Piastri gets one, and like obviously Oscar Piastri's a great driver, but if he gets a seat and Nick DeVries does not, who has been just like sitting there chilling in the Mercedes garage forever,
he's Mini Toto.
Yeah, so there is obviously news. We talked about this earlier.
Listen, Nick DeVries, if I can afford to, with the $20 in my pocket, buy Scuderia AlphaTauri, you've got a seat. Only though, wait, no, because then Pierre can go to Alpine and I'll hire you and Yuki can work together. And maybe you can just mellow the...
And I'll be the strategist.
Yes. And we'll be the strategists.
And AlphaTauri, #1 team.
And they'll have the best merch.
True.
Could you imagine how good our merch would be?
Oh my gosh. It'd be so good.
So honestly though, all right, let's wrap up race weekend recap. Our podium was Charles Leclerc, George Russell, with Max Verstappen winning. We're happy for George's highest finish in F1. Mm-hmm. Max Verstappen is looking absolutely unstoppable.
Glad he won his home race.
Exactly. Charles Leclerc somehow managed to outsmart his own pit wall.
Listen,
Daniel
he didn't
Ricciardo
get questions the whole race.
5 pit stops. And the
Lando snuck by.
Yeah, Lando
top
somehow,
10.
Yeah, you know, Lando got the good side of McLaren's calls, and Daniel Ricciardo
he always does
the crap calls. So that's where we stand with that. The race was absolutely chaotic. If you had not had a chance to watch it, I definitely recommend it. At least watch the highlights. They're available on F1's YouTube channel. Now, some asides here. I have 3 points. Number 1, Max has won 10 out of 15 races this season.
I know.
10 out of 15.
Max is on his way to breaking multiple records. I talked about this last week a little. Max is on his way to breaking multiple records this season.
Go, Max.
Also, Max, I believe, has won 20 or 21 out of the last 37 races in Formula One. Isn't that crazy?
That's insane to me. That is like literally insane.
He already this season has won as many races as he did all of last season.
Jeez. Okay. Yeah. We love some stats here.
Yeah, you're welcome.
My second thing. So I was doom scrolling TikTok at 3 a.m. yesterday because I have a problem. Love that for me. Now, I came across F1 Tony's video, which if you have not seen F1 Tony's video, she kind of goes over the whole George wearing Daniel's merch and how it was like a gift to Carmen and things like that. Right.
Also, F1 Tony, for anyone who doesn't know, I believe she's a TikToker, Formula One journalist.
No, she makes F1 content. And
just redhead?
Yes. But I don't believe she's a specific journalist. I think she's just a content creator. Well, I don't want to say just. I think she's a content creator. And she does things in a lot of different spaces. Because
for some reason, awesome. I thought that she was a content creator that worked with like a journalism something. So that's how she gets paddock passes.
Of Jesse. Or not Jesse.
Maybe
I know who you're talking about. But it's not Tony.
Anyways. She's a content creator. Formula One content creator
for Formula One. She spoke about this, and I just want to expound on it because I agreed with it so much. She said teams should be taking notes because look who has the purchasing power, even in this relationship with a Formula One driver. She's buying another F1 driver's merch because it's awesome. And that is who's buying merch. Out of all of the men in your life, right? Who's buying the merch? Usually the women will buy it for the men. Like, I have bought Kyle so many sports jerseys.
I think I have too. I've bought sports jerseys for my significant other.
Yes.
100%. I like when the Super Bowl was,
or like a hat, or something like really cool.
When the 49ers were in the Super Bowl in 2019 or 2020, I bought the limited edition Super Bowl, this version jersey, whatever. Like I've bought a Suns jersey. Yeah. I've bought Kyle's Suns merchandise that he doesn't know about that he's getting for Christmas. It's kind of dumb, but whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I've bought so much sports merchandise over the past whatever, and I want my own sports merchandise, but so much of it, I'm like, this isn't even like wearable.
Unappealing. Yeah. Like there's only a couple teams where I'm like, I really enjoy what you're doing. And then there's two people that I know of that I like their personal merch.
Which is?
Lando and Daniel. I love Quadrants merch that Lando's brand Quadrant. They just came out with a rally collection that was so cute.
Okay.
Loved the merchandise for it. It's so cute.
I love Daniel's merch. I think
Daniel does great such a good job. I'm surprised that Lewis doesn't have a bigger merch presence, his own brand.
I am surprised as well.
But yeah, like I love AlphaTauri's merch because it's a clothing brand.
I know he has one, and I know he makes drops of things, but I think he's much more subtle about it.
Yeah. Where Rick 3 is incredible. And I know that it's praised by a lot of people who wear it. It's amazing quality. It's amazing designs. It's like, I wish that more people were taking into consideration their fan base. I think Daniel does a great job about it. He knows who we are. Absolutely. He knows what we want.
Daniel's very in touch. And I just hope that, like,
which is crazy because Daniel's not even super present on social media.
Right? I look at these teams and I say, who is designing your merchandise? Who is it? Because, like, do you need a millennial? Do you need a zillennial? Do you need a Gen Z to come in there and be like, bruh, nobody wants to wear that.
Let me step in at Red Bull.
People in this world that want to wear that, and nobody else does.
Let me step in at Red Bull.
But we're forced to.
Are you kidding me? Because like even Red Bull and Ferrari, almost all their merchandising is just like team shirts.
Yes.
With all the sponsors.
Make a graphic tee or a graphic hoodie. I beg of you.
Dude, like you could do so much with Ferrari's merchandising as a brand. You could do so much with Red Bull. The colors of Red Bull are so like blue and red
to like a gorgeous merch. Absolutely.
There's so many opportunities. And it's just, yeah.
All right, finale to this very chaotic episode to go with the very chaotic Dutch Grand Prix. Our resident pop culture princess, Tess. Take it away, darling.
Okay, so number 1. Love this meme. I saw it and Lauren sent it to me too because it's literally so funny. I love when people use this meme for like every race. There's always something. Lauren will include. Guy in the front, Lewis Hamilton. Girl behind him with a gun. Christian Horner offering Yuki a Red Bull contract for a DNF. Guy behind him. Bottas getting the final Mercedes team order.
I lost it at that.
That's so funny. That is so funny. And then Russell, all the way at the top, sniper. Russell wanting to finish higher than P3. It's so good. I also love this one. Sergio, this qualifying is too close. Defend our pole. Crash.
I love the conspiracy theory memes because they're just hilarious. Like,
I know.
Whether you like actually agree with them or not, like they're just so funny.
Good. I know. This one, Lauren. Nicholas Latifi and Max Verstappen being in their own league this season.
I died at that. I died.
They're
Nicholas Latifi finished last in this race, in case you were surprised about that, which nobody was. Like, he did not DNF though, so at least he finished. Do you have anything else?
That's true. I did. Oh, this isn't really a meme. Them in the cool down room when they're watching the really close George to Lewis and Max is like Max like, no way you did that, dude, to George. Also, I feel like we don't get to see this after every race, but I liked that this track was kind of conducive to this. Like at the end, they park their cars, they're getting out of the cars, and the drivers to get to the weighing room all had to like walk past them. And so they were all giving him little taps, whatever. And this is one of those moments where I see the drivers all give Max a little tap. Nice job, bud. And I'm like, guys, they're friends. Yes. Stop acting like Max is a villain.
He's not a villain.
No. Max is friends with the drivers. He's friendly. They are friends. And like, they're all like, yeah, good job, dude. Like, nice one. And like him, like saying congrats to George. I'm happy that George is kind of bridging Mercedes to Red Bull's relationship again. So that it's not so toxic.
I will say, and this is the only thing I'm going to say on this, because I feel like I beat this into the ground. George Russell is 9 times out of 10 extremely respectful.
Yeah.
And it's just how he carries himself as a human. And I love that for him.
Yeah. And I think that we've seen it so many times this season. We saw it with Silverstone. We saw it. It's like all the little things that George has done where you're like, you know what? Like
he sits
mad sportsmanship.
Daniel I mean, Daniel does sit alone sometimes, but got rough news, you know? Nobody should be alone.
Yeah. And I think that like in that way, George and Daniel are actually really similar, where it's like they understand their fan base really well. They're very charismatic, they're funny, they're kind, they're all of these things. And I think that it's a fun nod when you see George wearing Daniel's merch, they sit together, they whatever, like it is nice to see. And also, I don't think we mentioned this already, but Daniel calling up Oscar Piastri
and congratulating
and making sure it was all good, clearing the air, no hard feelings, dude. Like I understand.
I think,
and Daniel I just think that
is so mature at this point that he's like relationships with people and like relationships with other drivers. At the end of the day, it's not worth it.
Yeah,
rivalries
and I think
are
that
great for Netflix and great for TV, but they're not good for you as a person. Like, maybe they're a little bit of a
see that,
but you
like,
need
we
something
see that with
deeper.
George.
Yeah.
George deciding that he, as a Mercedes driver, will not be a part of the wedge between Mercedes and Red Bull. I think that is a huge maturity, like, step and whatever. And obviously Lewis and Max, like, there's a lot of beef. He was a part of a traumatizing experience for Lewis of not getting the 8th world championship. Like, I understand it was a rough season, all those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think George bridging that gap is really good to see.
Absolutely.
So
our last note of the day, we are going to do a little bit of a fun question here.
Oh, yes.
What would your pump up song be if you were an F1 driver? What would be the song you listen to right before you're getting in the car?
So I have some clarifications here.
Okay.
The first time you asked me this question, I immediately thought of, like, like a baseball player when they're like walking up to bat, they like play a song for them.
Yeah, like your
I was like,
song?
so then I was like, okay, like pump up or like walk up, because I'm like, if I got to pick a song that I like walk out on the podium to, like, it would be very different than the song I would listen to.
Yeah.
So this was really difficult for me.
Okay.
Because, like, pump up wise, it's like, do I go rock? Do I go like, I love rock and roll? Do I go American Idiot? Like, am I going that direction? Or, hear me out with this one, Lauren.
Okay.
Do I go Kesha?
Oh.
Like, am I doing like Your Love Is My Drug?
Your love, your love, your love. Oh my gosh.
Like, We Are Who We Are? Or this is my last one. Actually, I have 2 more. Kiwi, Harry Styles.
Okay, that song's epic. Yeah.
Right? And like, you know how that song makes me feel.
I know.
Or what's that band called? 303.
Oh, yes.
Don't trust a hoe, never trust a hoe. Yeah.
Don't trust me. What was
it?
It was like 303 or something.
It's the line where he says, because I'm a vegetarian and I'm scared of him. Yeah. Tell your boyfriend if he's got beef that I'm a vegetarian. Like, dude, the pump up I would feel before I got in an F1 car listening to that. So, because that's my like taking shots before the club song. Like, oh my gosh.
So I think mine, I immediately go to like pop punk. Mm-hmm. So Misery Business by Paramore is like one. It's one of those songs that just always, no matter what happens,
business of misery.
Let's take it from the top. Exactly. Yeah. There was that one. And then this one doesn't make sense for the circumstance, but In Too Deep by Sum 41.
No, because I understand.
Keep up the fun in my head.
I understand that one. Wait, I have 2 more. I love
yes.
I don't know if this is a surprise with how we've talked about things. I love music so much.
But on the other side of things, have you heard Blackpink's new song, Pink Venom?
Oh,
Pink Venom,
bro, of course I have, because Taylor Swift made a
little bit of K-pop. Okay, I would love that.
Yeah, so
or I have so many.
Little White Lies by One Direction.
Oh my god!
If this room was burning, yeah, that's one of them. And then I have one more One Direction song, and then I'm done, I promise.
I think potentially I would do like Toxic by Britney Spears. The thing is, I have so many of these, and for some reason it's just not clicking in my head.
My last one by One Direction.
Good for You by Olivia
Rodrigo.
Good for you, you look happy and healthy.
Yeah, my last One Direction one is I Would.
Oh, or the Taylor Swift. Which Taylor Swift song am I thinking of?
Give me literally a single word or a hum.
Hang on. The I never trust a narcissist, but they love
me. I did something bad.
Yes, I think it might.
From
Maybe I
Reputation.
did something bad.
Yeah. Don't blame me. The choir at the end of that, bro. I know it's like not actually like a pump up song, but like that song.
It doesn't, you ain't doing it.
This gives the same vibe as like if anybody has watched Stranger Things, like your Vecna song. It's like a big thing everyone's talking about.
Or Jack Harlow.
I want to see some ass.
No, that's our jamming out in the car song. Maybe SUVs, Black on Black.
Yeah.
Where is the song I'm thinking of? Oh, hang on. Let me go to my workout playlist. I have like the angriest workout playlist. I was playing because it's one of the few saved playlists I have on my phone. Mm-hmm. I was playing my workout playlist randomly and something came on. It's not like screamo, but it's like intense, I guess I could say.
Okay, I have two more. Bro, I have no chill. I can't decide. Industry Baby from Lil Nas X.
Oh yeah, that one's good.
Yeah. And then, girl, I cannot believe I did not include her.
So the
Doja.
problem is a couple of my favorite like pump up songs are actually in Russian.
You know what? That's understandable.
They're just really angry and really great, you know?
Yeah.
Oh,
maybe Ain't Shit.
International by Doja Cat. International by Charlie Tuna. If you've seen She's the Man, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. Oh, it's the
love this song. No. Yes. No, actually the whole She's
or
the Man
Invincible by
up.
OK Go.
Invincible. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, so many
Shut
early
Up and
2000s.
Drive by Rihanna.
Yeah.
Going Bad by Meek Mill and Drake.
Oh.
I can rap that entire song. Is it rap? It's rap. I can rap that entire song.
Oh. Give me some Lil Wayne. You know.
Hey.
You know. So literally, thank you for this question so much, Lauren, because any excuse we have to talk about music. Also, I think this just showed how like terrifyingly
I don't know that I
diverse
I don't know that I could actually like pick one, because you know the song
I feel like we just created like
the song that was really popular on it was popular on TikTok, especially like Book Talk, the So You Wanna Go to War.
Oh yeah
I feel like that could pump me up as well.
Yeah,
it's a very like niche one, but you know, Feeling Good by Michael Bublé. Bum, bum, bum.
True.
Last Resort by Papa Roach. Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort.
Oh, I would probably get so pumped to some Pop Smoke too.
I also love Bad Girls Club by Falling in Reverse.
Mm-hmm. Wow, there's so many good ones. Maybe we should make like a Lauren F1 pump up playlist and a Tess F1 pump up playlist.
Or there's the song that was super popular on F1 TikTok, the Edamame song. This one.
Edamame song. I can't hear it.
I was singing though in a
yeah.
Yep.
No, you know the song that would get me?
Okay.
But it would be stuck in my head the whole race. It's Corn.
That would not pump me up. That would not pump me up.
That would be stuck in my head.
Oh.
I love that kid.
But
yeah, I think it would be fun to make these playlists
Vengeance
and share them on our Instagram.
By G-Eazy and Donna. I feel no pain. Vengeance on my mind.
Yes. Yes.
Or like A, B, C, D, E, F, U, but like the angrier
version.
Because, the original one's just not angry enough for me.
So many of mine, like...
Oh, this one, never mind. I picked out my exact song. I don't know that anything could top this. I've been getting dirty money, Jordan Belfort. Stacking things up,
Oh,
yeah.
these
birds. Stripping out some rock, keep them up with the words.
No,
I just popped a molly and I think I see my third.
Foreign. It's so funny that you
also,
say
that was probably wrong, but I haven't heard that song in a minute.
I could imagine you pulling like a Max Verstappen. You're just like doing the like dee, passing like 5 people a lap, and you're like, I've been getting dirty money, Jordan Belfort. It's like low key, like chill, but like pump.
It's like mindset. It's all right. Yeah. Let's go F shit up.
Oh, I think that maybe like one of my number ones, Seven Nation Army.
Oh, that's such a good one. See, I think I could listen to an entire pop punk playlist and it would work out well for me. Pop punk was like is still what gets me through like any sort of running activity whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because I pretend to like running, but I actually really don't. Do you remember? Okay, this is another very niche thing, and then we are off of here. Do you remember in Ice Princess? Who was it? The Zoe girl who she skated to Toxic, but she was like edgy compared to the other skaters. I feel like if music was actually allowed in figure skating programs, which at the time it wasn't, I would have tried to skate to like some pop punk anthem. But on the flip side to that, Vivaldi's 4 Seasons is my jam. Like it does something to my ADHD brainwaves where I'm just like, I zone in and it's so motivating to me. Like, makes my brain so happy.
That. I love that. I also know there's a specific lo-fi video that I always play when I do homework. Ooh. I'm obsessed with it. It's like slightly different than other ones. I'm obsessed with it.
You'll have to send it to me because I love lo-fi.
I know that during like right before the race, like training stuff or like immediate like meetings, I would have like one headphone on listening to that. It'd be like really getting me in before I listen to my music, you know? Yeah, I'll send it to you. But I think this would be fun to make little playlists and share them on.
We'll make little playlists and we'll share them on our Instagram. We'll share them on our Instagram. If you have or you know what your pump up song would be, comment it down below on this YouTube video. Send it to us on Instagram. Comment it on the Instagram post for this video. We want to hear what yours are. Okay, yeah. Final answer test. If you had to pick one, like for tomorrow, what would it be?
Dude, that's so hard.
Not like the whole playlist, but this is the last one you'd listen to before you got out of the car.
Okay, it is stuck between 2.
Okay, I'll give you 2.
Seven Nation Army.
Okay.
And what's the Macklemore song?
Thrift Shop?
No, that's like, can't stop me, go hard like in a little bit of my heartbeat. Oh, like better than Shark Week, yeah. Get on my throne. That one. That like the like like that's in it, and then like that rap it. I think that would get me. I think those are my top 2.
Okay, I can't remember the name of the song, but okay.
I can't either. But the Macklemore song.
I think mine would be Jordan Belfort because it would like zone me in and like motivate me, but it would also like chill me out to where I was like dun 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 Jordan Belfort.
Yeah, it gives almost like chill Tokyo Drift energy.
Okay, so that's the other song I would potentially listen to is the Tokyo Drift song. If you want to know how they do in Tokyo, Fast and Furious.
So good.
Oh, love that song. All right. This has been a crazy, chaotic episode. If you stayed with us through to the end, fantastic. We love you guys. We will see you next week. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Our podcast is available on Apple Music and Spotify. We look forward to seeing you after next week's race.
Yeah.
Let's get in it. Ready for the Italian Grand Prix? Because we're not.
Monza.
Woo! L'Italiano. All right.
Yeah.
Let's eat some pasta, eat your vegetables, drink your water, get some sleep, and we'll see you next week. Bye. Grid Sisters fam. probably not
really quick. I have to show you what's happening under my desk. I'm going to take a video and you can insert this later. But my puppy is asleep and he is holding my foot. That's why I keep looking down. He is literally holding my foot. He's asleep next to my foot and holding it. That's why I keep looking down. So if I look down, it's because I'm looking at my puppy. I have a video that we can insert.